stock that I decided I want to buy today. Let me see. I wrote it down. You gotta always be taking notes. You gotta take notes. Uh, yeah, there's a company I want to look into. I got a Ceres Power, Cers, but I don't know if it's available publicly in the United States. I think it's a European company. So don't have me out here lying, but I thought I'd mention it. Oh, it's not in here. Okay, so how about this? Northrop Grumman. Northrop Grumman, if you're into this whole thing with Venezuela, which is just kind of crazy, Trump is out here trumping. Northrop Grumman might be a stock worth looking into, given that they're working defense contracts and stuff like that. Because it looks like Trump is out here trying to conquer countries and stuff, and you can feel how you want about that. I just talk to you about what's going on. I don't necessarily tell you how to judge it. And it's really getting kind of interesting, right? It's quite the situation. So so anyway. So yeah, so that's a quick thought in terms of a place you might want to put some money. And then really generally defense, I would say in the United States, we spend a lot of money on defense, and I would anticipate that defense spending is going to continue to grow, definitely under this administration, because they seem to have a lot of ambitious um, things that they're trying to do, like the idea of using military force to take Greenland is a particularly intriguing idea. I don't know what word to use to, maybe I could say disturbing if you want to look at it like that, because they are a NATO ally, and they're I think they're controlled by Denmark. And I recently went to Denmark and I met a young lady from Greenland who really was offended by the idea that the US had such an interest in Greenland. So anyway, it's up to you to decide how you feel about that. But this is what's happening in the world. This is the world we live in. And there's lots of interesting conversations happening financially regarding also not just Venezuela and the heavy crude oil that they have there. They're going to be shipping millions of barrels of that oil to the United States. At first, they said that they're giving the oil to the U.S. and we'll sell it and make money. Now they're saying that the U.S. is going to buy the oil, and this is a big deal because there have been sanctions on Venezuela for a long time, where we said we're not buying your oil, and the Chinese were buying the oil, and so we kind of went in and took the Chinese's oil, which um, I would expect they might at some point be tempted to retaliate, and the way they would retaliate might be through Taiwan. Taiwan is their neighbor, and they're like, well, if you're going to go beat up Venezuela and take our oil, then we can go beat up Taiwan and take your microchips, which you know just ain't good. You're opening the door to World War III. That's a huge inconvenience for everybody. All right. So anyway, I'll keep you posted on anything that I see. There's also interesting conversations happening with this deal with Warner Brothers. I mentioned to you all that I went to see the Superman movie and I liked it so much. I liked what they were doing so much that I bought stock in Warner Brothers. I had no idea that they were going to be a takeover target. So the stock goes up 50%. Now I sold my stock because I wasn't real. I was a fly-by-night investor. I wasn't really thinking about having this 10-year relationship with Warner Brothers. I believe Hollywood is suffering because Hollywood is trying to do things the way they've always been done, and they're just not prepared for the new world. Their companies are going to have to be acquired, and they're going to have to be forced into the new reality of artificial intelligence and everything else, because they still want to spend $8 million on a movie scene in a coffee shop, which is unnecessary in the age of AI. Now you got little amateur scrubs like me out here making movies and stuff that take 20 minutes to do. And so, whereas like 10 years ago, it would take thousands of dollars and the whole day for me to shoot a scene. Now I'm like, let me see what I can imagine of. Let me see what AI can do for me today. So long story short, I had no interest in being a long-term investor in Warner Brothers or any of that. But I did buy the stock because I thought, maybe they're going in this direction of trying to revamp how they use their intellectual property. Like they screwed up Batman versus Superman, which means, I mean, you have to have a special level of incompetence to mess up Batman versus Superman. Like that's like money being handed to you by God. Like it's like the easiest way. That's a slam dunk, and they did, even they missed that dunk. which is just weird to me. So when I saw the new Superman movie, though, I really got a sense that they were trying to do something different, and they were trying to go in the direction of Marvel, and that they were actually serious about it. And so I said, let me buy some of the stock and see how it goes. Well, I happened to get lucky. That was when the takeover conversation began with Warner Brothers, and I made a lot of money. And again, though, I sold my stock because I was like, I don't think it's going to get much better than this. But now Warner Brothers is in the middle of a bidding war between Paramount and Netflix. Paramount upped their bid because they want to compete with Netflix, but Warner Brothers, their management rejected the bid. There's a question as to whether or not the shareholders agree. Shareholders control the company, so the shareholders are ultimately going to vote on what they want, but it's going to be a while before they get to vote. And so now they're trying to explain why they turned down Paramount's bid, even though Paramount bid more money, which could lead them to being accused of not representing the best interest of the shareholders, which I'm not sure if they are. And also, I'm really curious just to see in terms of the antitrust implications of Netflix taking over that company. Like, I don't think the European antitrust authorities, who actually are different from the U.S., where they in Europe they're actually serious about doing their job. They actually have serious regulators in Europe. In the U.S., you have a government that's run by billionaires. The money just kind of controls everything. So this is why this is going to lead to the downfall of the U.S. I'm sorry, but it's true. Whereas in Europe, they at least try to do the right thing, and I think that they're going to have some trouble in Europe. So I'm really curious to see how they're going to play that out. I wish I could hear their perspective. Like this doesn't make sense to me on the surface. As a Netflix shareholder, I'm deeply concerned about them trying to acquire Warner Brothers. I don't think it's a good idea, and it makes me want to sell my Netflix stock. I sold some of it already, and I may sell more of it because I don't know if I want to be a part of all that. Right. So when you're the shareholder, you really your opinion matters. You vote when you think your company's doing something stupid, they have to listen to you. So there we go. All right. Now, with that said, just a reminder, don't forget the stock options summit is going to be this weekend. And I know a lot of you have signed up to come to the summit. We're going to spend 2 days, January 10th and 11th, just doing stock options stuff. And it's on Zoom, so anybody can join. And so here's the link to a discount link to the summit if you want to join us. And also, if you want to study options, on an even deeper level for 6 weeks, the next coin cohort is going to begin. And Chanel is in the chat, and she can share a link that gives Money in the Morning students a special discount to join coin. We actually get started Thursday night at 8:30, and every week for 6 weeks, we will cover options. You can bring your whole family, and it's going to be good. And will there be a replay of the summit? Yeah, anybody who signs up for the summit has lifetime access to the replay, so it's yours. So if you don't make it, you still have that, and if you do make it, you have it. So it's up to you. The link is in the chat if you want to take a look at that. All right. So what I want to do is I'm going to take a little trip to Instagram and kind of talk about some of the things that I've been observing in the world of money and finances. But before I do that, let me read the quick B1 story. This person asked me to keep her name anonymous, but she says, remember, I asked you for your B1 stories because I want to know where our daily financial fitness training, our daily habit formation that we do every day, where we meet every morning, 7 days a week, how that's leading you to change your choices, which is leading you to change your outcomes, right? I like to know about real results, real outcomes, real adjustments in your situation, right? So anyway, when I send the link out, I would love for everybody, when you answer, if you answer, it's up to you, of course. Don't just tell me that you love me. I appreciate it. I love you too. Thank you. It warms my heart. It really does. But let's try to put Boyce's ego to the side, and because y'all give me enough of that. They call it narcissistic supply. So y'all just gonna turn me into every time I see you and you're like, oh my God, I love you. Man, you gotta stop that. Stop that. My head's gonna get big, and my head's already big enough. My daddy says my head was the same size when I was a baby as it is now, which that hurt my feelings, but it's probably true. But instead of that, I would like for you to tell me about you. Tell me how you have applied this. Tell me how you are making moves. Tell me what's different in your life now. Tell me about that first house you bought. Tell me about the business you started. Tell me how you made your first million, how you made your first 100,000, how you made your first 10,000, whatever it is, right? I like tell me about what you're doing with your kids, right? So I'll share the link at some point. I want to go through and share these stories, but I want to reiterate that I like what's real. Let's make it real, right? No more feel good speeches. No more rah rah. Let's go, black people. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We ain't doing all that. We're solving problems, breaking generational curses, implementing strategies, shifting culture, elevating our lives. That's what economic elevation is all about. I want you. If you're starting here, I need you to be here. If you're starting on level 2, I need you to be on level 4 eventually. If you're on level 7, I want you to be on level 12. We're leveling up like George and Weezy, all right? Moving on up to the east side. So this person has leveled up. She says, I've increased my investments from 3 stocks to 19. Good. You're nice and diversified. I love that. Since being in the Black Business School, I've gained more knowledge that has changed my ideas. That were not positive for a healthy lifestyle and mindset. Yes, positivity is everything. What you feed yourself in terms of ideas and energy has a direct impact on the choices that you make. In this school, I'm exposed to various aspects of finance, exposed to entrepreneurs in various fields, exposed to expert knowledge of the effects of my finances if I make poor decisions. Dr. Alicia, my wife, she's a therapist. She runs our Black Financial Therapy department. She provides awesome insights and expertise on relationships and healing from my trauma. A lot of trauma in the Black community. That's the number one problem that we have. Unfortunately, the awareness is not there yet, but we get not just in terms of the existence of the trauma, but the healing of the trauma and how that affects not just your physical and mental health, but it affects your relationships. It really affects your financial choices. So a lot of people are broke because they're broken, if that makes sense. Let's see. I feel the love and genuine care from everyone in school. Thank you for the Black Business School for all your hard work, dedication, providing a platform for me to build a healthy mind and healthy bank accounts. I love that. I think that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that perspective. I would share your name, but you asked me to keep it anonymous, so I'll definitely respect that. But at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. We're solving problems. Now, something I wanted to share with you all is this thing. Let's start here. Sports betting apps. Uh, I had to put it up on my Instagram where I was explaining that sports betting apps are a scam. And what I want to do is show you because this is such a big one because so many you got so many black people promoting this crap and it's making me mad. In fact, I have a list. Um, the people promoting sports betting apps in terms of celebrities. Let me see. Hold on, wait. I found a list. Here we go. They're promoting this crap to black people, particularly black men between the ages of 20 and 35, because they want you to be suckers. And they're getting all your favorite athletes and comedians and rappers to do it. LeBron James, Kevin Hart, Drake, Jamie Foxx. Drake is being sued for, I think, like $100 million or 50 million or something. Jamie Foxx, Rick Ross, Fat Joe, The Locks, Mike Tyson, Shannon Sharp, Joe Budden, Gilbert Arenas, Nicki Minaj, Ice Spice, even Carl Weathers. He was in a FanDuel ad. Diddy, 50 Cent, Nas, Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, Future T.I., DJ Khaled, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, who's a friend of mine, but I can't, just because he's your friend don't mean you agree with everything he's doing. Charlie Clips, and the list goes on and on and on, right? I don't like any of this, and I'm gonna back up my point of view. And first off, I'm gonna share my screen real quick and show you why these things are a scam. So I put this on my Instagram, which is Dr. Boyce Finance. And one of the biggest things about sports betting apps, and this is why you got to share this with your sons, because mostly your sons, your daughters might be into this too, but it's usually the guys that they're going after. They only let you play if you're a sucker. They only let you play if you're a loser. If you're a winner, you're not allowed. They kick out the winners, they keep the losers. First off, the math is designed. Can y'all see this? Let me know if you can see these slides. Can y'all see this on the screen? Give me a quick yes. Let me know that you can see what. Okay. All right. The math is designed for you to lose. So first off, they build in a 5 to 10% edge on every bet. So that means that they get billions of dollars in profit just on that 5 or 10%. Also, if you win too much, people don't know this, but the app changes if you start winning too much. So if you win too much, they usually don't flat out ban you. What they do is they'll drop the amount of money you're allowed to bet. They will get rid of all your promotions so you don't get the free stuff. Your account will get restricted and they don't give you a warning. They don't give you an explanation. There's no appeal. So if you happen to be one of the few that's good at predicting football games and you can beat the app, then the app is going to beat your ass and put you out. That's what it is. That's what it does. Okay. What else? A lot of the free bets they give you, quote unquote free bets. These are not actually free. A lot of the bonuses they give the bonuses to the biggest losers because they have AI software that tells them who the biggest suckers are. So the suckers are the ones that they reach out to the most. And so if you get caught in the position of chasing losses, then you become a wonderful sucker, a dream come true. You become their pathway to generational wealth because you're literally dumping money down the toilet, and they're going to keep on tempting you because the easiest customer in the world is an addict. An addict, that's why crack dealers are usually not poor. So that's what you don't want to do. The app always wins. They control all the odds, they control the payouts, they control limits, timing, access to the game. And so any system where the winners are removed, there is no question about the outcome, right? So you're playing a football game in somebody else's stadium where all the referees are paid off. So every time you score a point, they're going to call a foul on you or call a penalty. Every time you get fouled, they're going to be looking the other way. And so this is what it is. Let's keep going. Let's keep talking. Like here's some other things that they do. They price the bets unfairly. So a lot of the odds are not true odds, particularly on these the parlays. The parlays, again, I say this as a statistician. The parlays are the biggest sucker moves. The parlays are built on getting you emotionally invested in something where the odds are just horrifically bad out of your favor. So because you're not a computer, you're not calculating the specific odds of certain events happening, but they have computers and computer scientists, people that are very very smart that sit there and are have algorithms that where they can predict probabilities and make sure everything works in their favor. So they use a lot of algorithmic limits. So if you start winning or if you start beating their models, then a lot of platforms will spot you. I think what's the term? What do they call it? Sharp. That's the term. The word sharp. If you get identified as being sharp, then the AI is designed to stop supporting you. It's designed to block you without blocking you. And also, because there's no laws against this, there's no regulation really that stops them from harming the consumer. They also exploit a lot of psychological hooks, so when they have a lot of flashing lights and urgency timers and push notifications, these are things casinos do. Casinos are good at psychological manipulation. That's why they pump extra oxygen in the room. They give you free alcohol because they know drunk people are stupid. They don't put clocks in the casinos because they don't want you to have an awareness of time. They want your consciousness to be low. A person who's drunk and feeling good, who isn't conscious of time, is an easy target because they're going to get in there and the addiction kind of takes over. It reminds me of this guy that I heard this story. I think I probably heard it on TV because I don't know anybody who's done this in real life. And he said that he was a regular guy that had a regular job, and he was a smart guy. He had a master's degree and stuff. But he happened to have this crack thing. He liked crack. He liked to smoke crack every now and then. So one day he goes out and says, I need I need to take the edge off. So what better place to take the edge off than the local crack house? So he goes down and he goes out and says, I'm gonna smoke a little crack, then I'm gonna come home for dinner. So he goes to smoke the crack, and he's in the crack house for 3 days. He said before I knew it, I'd been in there for 3 days. And so when he comes home, of course there's no more money in the bank account because crack is expensive. I mean, the price of crack is outrageous now. They need to work on this inflation thing, because crack should be affordable. And his wife is gone, his family's gone, like his whole life is. Of course, he lost his job. So this is kind of what addictions do. They cause your consciousness to decline, so you lose your sense of time and space and everything else, and which is the opposite of awareness. And again, that's why I call this class financial consciousness, because conscious people don't typically fall into those traps as much. So when people talk about really like what it means to be woke or stay woke, that's my version of staying woke. Staying woke means head on a swivel, be alert, check your surroundings, be knowledgeable, and make sure you know what's going on. All right. What else? They hide the odds and probabilities. They don't really tell you what the odds are when you make the bets, because if they did that, then they'd let you know. Then they'd let you in on their secrets. And a lot of the bonuses and free bets come with a lot of major waging requirements and stuff and restrictions. So they give you something free. It's usually not free. Here are a couple other stats that should probably scare the shit out of you. Excuse my French, I cussed. I didn't mean to do that, but they scare the hell out of me. Because it tells you what happens when you get stuck in the cycle of gambling addiction, which is why this is a really, in my view, a state of emergency. 96% of all people with a gambling disorder also have some other psychiatric condition. 96%. So they either have depression or anxiety, which is linked to all the financial stress that comes with chasing losses and trying to figure out a way to get out of the hole, stuff like that, or worrying about whether the bookie's going to kill your grandmother and break your legs, and they do all that. Go listen to the mobsters. Go listen to Michael Francis talk about how they trap young men, a lot of black men, a lot of young black men who are athletes at universities, and they pretend to be their friend, and they know exactly like how they're gonna get them roped in, and then next thing you know, they're fixing games. They're fixing games to get out of a gambling debt. And they're not going to tell their mother. So you have to just talk to your son about it and hope that he listens. About 20% of problem gamblers end up filing for bankruptcy. 50% of those with severe gambling addictions engage in criminal acts like theft or fraud to sustain their behavior. 50%, half. So half of them end up stealing stuff, scamming their friends, etc. And and so this is interesting. I mean, but that's true, right? And I mean, addictions will do that. I had that cousin who would rob, who got introduced to cocaine. He had his dream. He wanted to be a singer, and he got a chance to go to LA. LA is literally hell on wheels. It's literally the devil's playground. So he goes to LA at 15 years old because his parents thought he was realizing his dream. This is the thing. We have the wrong dream sometimes, and you hand your children over to the devil. And he goes on the road with a famous group, and they introduced him to cocaine at 15 years old when his brain's still developing, and he was a cocaine addict for the rest of his life. And he eventually killed himself after his wife left him because he kept going to jail, and he would commit criminal acts to get access to the drugs. Right. So don't you dare ever come to me with something that you think is a dream, or when people talk about being successful and being black, half these damn people talking about success ain't successful at all. You get these dumbass rappers and entertainers coming to your public school and athletes talking to your kids about, well, if you do blah blah blah, you could be just like me. Some of these people, you don't want your kids to be like them. I don't want my kids to be like you because I know your life. I've seen that. Like, I know the entertainers. I know the famous people. I sat next to Damon Dash as he was destroying his finances, and I said, man, this is so interesting that there are people out there. There are black people who really want to imitate all this. I don't want your life. I did, Dame was my friend. He's a very nice guy. I'm just, and it hurts my heart to have to talk like this. But I sat there and I was like, I would not want his life. There's a lot of stress because you're trying to maintain an illusion, and this ain't living, man. I don't want, no, sir, nobody. And a lot of times, because we've never had that experience, we've never seen the demons up close. We from a distance they look beautiful. It looks beautiful, and say no, here's what's beautiful, because from a man who's seen some things, what's beautiful to me is peace and happiness, security, safety, being able to love and be loved, freedom, getting up as a black man and knowing that I can do what I want to do. And Mr. Charlie ain't gonna boss me around. Um, I'm with brothers and sisters that respect me and I respect them, and we treat each other well. We want each other to do well. Happiness, health, all these are that's the win. That's the victory, man. All this material stuff, that's appealing if you that's appealing because you broke. That's what it is. And don't get me wrong, money can make you happy if you use it right. I'm not here to pretend like money's not important. Money matters. Believe me, it's fun to have money. But man, some of the stuff that people do to get money, and again, remember, I'm a doctor of money. I'm a money scientist. The stuff people do to get money makes me sad. You know what people do for money, right? Like the stuff that people do for money, I'm like, ooh, buddy, you're doing all that to go make $1, and you don't even understand that this is going to cost you 1,000 times more than the amount of money you'll ever make. So no, I've never had dreams of hanging out with the Diddy's of the world or the Jay-Z's or any of these people. This is not. I've done a little bit of that, and it's not to say that I reject all my friends that are in that space. I have some cool people that I know that are great. But some places I won't even go. I won't even go. I literally be thinking you might drug my drink. I might walk up in there and get raped. Oh, I'm a 54-year-old, 230-pound grown man. I do not want to get somebody taking my booty hole, right? That's not going to be fun for. But these things happen at these in these venues, and we sit back and we idolize this celebrity culture and want to be in it, and it's not a win. Look at how many 20-something-year-old rappers get killed every year. It's a regular thing. Let me keep going. Let me stop. I'm on a soapbox now. I apologize. Up to 50, let me see here. An estimated 1.2% of adults globally have a gambling disorder, and harmful gamblers generate 60% of total gambling industry losses. So, so harmful gamblers generate 60% of the gambling losses. Wow. Let's see here. 5.5% of women, 11.9% of men experience some level of harm from gambling. So about 11% of men, 11.9%. Problem gambling is strongly linked to relationship breakdown, family violence, and suicide risk. The evidence showing gamblers may contemplate taking their own lives more often than regular people, because when you get in that financial hole, it's very depressing because you lose all hope, right? Only about 8% of people with gambling addictions ever seek help. So that means like when people like me start talking, they just turn it off because they think it's never going to happen to them. I understand that. Um, some examples of people, famous people that have ruined their lives. Pete Rose was in Major League Baseball. He got banned from baseball because he couldn't stop gambling. Art Schlichter was actually an Ohio State grad like me, and he won the Heisman Trophy. And he went to the NBA and or sorry NFL, and he kept gambling so much they eventually had to put him out of the NFL. And then he started scamming his friends. And the last time I heard about Art was they arrested him in a parking lot with a crack pipe in his pocket. He was in his 60s at that time. Allen Iverson's earned over $200 million, and he gambled pretty recklessly, and he ended up. The only good thing he has going on is this deal he made with Reebok, apparently, where they saw his financially self-destructive habits, and someone convinced him to sign a deal where he wouldn't get his money till he was in his 50s, and some people look at that as a genius deal, and it was only a genius deal because it protected Allen from himself, but it wasn't a genius deal from a financial standpoint. It was actually a great deal for Reebok though because they were able to get let's say $100 million worth of value by only paying this guy the equivalent of maybe $5 or $10 million. Because there's a concept that a lot of people aren't aware of called the future value of money. So if somebody just says, "Hey, I don't want to pay you 10 million now, but we'll give you 40 million, 30 years from now." Well, anybody who understands how money works and how money grows knows that getting $10 million today in many contexts could be worth far more than getting $40 million 30 years from now. Because in that meantime, you could take that money and make a lot of money from that money, compound interest and all that. It depends on their variables that determine how the math works. But when I did the math on Allen Iverson's deal, I said, wow, Reebok really got away with something on that, right? It sounds good, right? And it probably is good in the sense that he would have probably wasted the money. So that's where it's good. Where it's not so good, though, is that clearly was not the most optimal use of his financial resources. A better deal would have been one where if I was Allen's, let's say I was Allen's dad, I would have said, pay him his money now, and we're gonna just put that money in a trust. We're gonna invest it in a trust. I'll be the trustee, so he won't get to touch it. But we're gonna manage that money. We're not gonna let you hold it for 30 years because you're gonna make money from that money during that time. Anyway, there's some other people who've been hit by gambling addictions. Let me see, Charles Barkley. He just lost over $10 million gambling, and I like Charles because he's honest and he called it a sickness and he warned a lot of young athletes not to follow his path. Remember, Charles hung out a lot with Michael Jordan, and they both were gambling addicts. And Michael can afford to be a gambling addict, so the addiction does not show itself because he's just got so much money that I guess he's able to overcome it. At least that's the appearance that I've seen. But there's nothing really healthy about the level at which he gambled. And the other unfortunate, ugly truth, and I want to be really careful when I say this because I know people that know Michael, and I don't want to be disrespectful, is a lot of people wonder, how did your father get killed on the side of the road randomly like that? Was that a random incident that could have happened to anybody? Or was that something that was done to send a message to say that anybody can be touched and that you can't, your celebrity will not protect you? I don't know, but I think it's quite logical and reasonable to wonder, like, if you have people, bookies that are owed money and they didn't get their money because you don't think you have to pay anybody, is there somebody out there who said, "Oh no, you're not going to ignore me," right? So this is the part, that's the part of it all that gets really messy is when family gets involved. And then there's still discussion about Floyd Mayweather. I know that he built his whole brand about money, and I'm Money Mayweather, and he liked to show his money, which quite honestly, that's kind of an immature kind of thing. I really can't think of anybody who's not black who has a brand like that, where my whole brand is all about bringing like 500,000 in cash and showing you stacks of cash. Like, who's impressed by that? Like, what is impressive about that? It impresses people that don't have any money or immature people, maybe 12-year-olds, but it doesn't impress people that understand wealth and money. Like, people that, if a billionaire is sitting there watching you flash $100,000 cash everywhere you go, they're probably going to see that as a sign of maybe some type of insecurity, or you're trying to appeal to highly immature people. And so Money Mayweather built his whole brand around how much money he has. But there was just a recent study, or investigative reporting done by some British publication, and they seem to have a pretty strong argument that Floyd is not doing as well as people think. And I think Floyd is suing. So out of fairness to him, maybe it's not true. Maybe they're just being haters or something. But there is a lot of stuff there where you have a reason to at least ask, like, okay, are things exactly what you really claim them to be? And it's not like it matters for any of us. None of us are ever going to get Floyd Mayweather's money, but a more structured use of money is really beneficial to the world and the people around you. If you have that kind of money and you say, look, me bragging about how much money I have is not the point here. Let's talk about what we can do to develop the community. Like, so for example, Jalen Brown, who I really like Jalen Brown. Someone mentioned that they wanted me to meet him somehow and do a connection or something. It never happened. But if I meet him, I look forward to talking to him because he's super smart and he's a great athlete, and I know he's got lots of money and he cares about black people. He has the right ideas, right? Jalen Brown, I'm sure if he wanted to, he could be Money Jalen. He could literally go out and throw it up in the air and have a money parade and have dollar bills paved all over his house and everything. But Jalen actually is saying, no, I want to have a more constructive use of this money, which is to build a Black Wall Street. Right? This money is the kind of money that can be the beginning capital base to develop significant infrastructure that really impacts the lives of lots of people. And he can make a profit. The idea that he's helping others does not mean he can't help himself too. Right? So let's stop believing that every good economic idea in the black community must involve extreme self-sacrifice to the point where you destroy yourself to help others. I do not like that. There is no, what is it? Like this honor in poverty that we have, like purity of poverty, where we somehow think that if you're helping the black community, you have to be flat broke, struggling, or you have to die young, or terrible things have to happen to you. No, you can do well by helping others do well. All right. And this is my bone to pick in terms of how people would cloak a black activist movement, in Marxist communist language, to the point where you're vilifying anybody who isn't struggling financially. I don't think you have to struggle to help others. Do you agree? Let me know if you agree with that, right? I think you can take care of yourself, take care of your family, drive a nice car, live in a big house, live a good life, and still be a net benefit to everybody around you. So many black movements, so many great examples of activism in the black community died just because there was nobody courageous enough to sit around and say, okay, how do we develop a business model around this that's going to be ethical and strong, right? Like, does that make us greedy capitalists automatically just because we want to hold something back for the institution to develop the capital base? I mean, you're fighting against an oppressive capitalist system. So you might need to bring a knife to a knife fight, right? Or you need to bring and then or bring a gun to a gunfight, right? I'm not out here shooting everybody like you. Like you're sloppy with your gun. You're trying to murder everybody. No, I'm gonna bring my gun because if my enemy has a gun, I gotta have a gun too. But I'm not like you because I'm not shooting everybody, right? Capitalism can be destructive, but free enterprise and business development certainly doesn't have to be, and it can be incredibly beneficial. And if you have a community where all that's missing because you've been taught to vilify anybody who's doing better than you, then you're going to end up submitting to the capitalist anyway. You're going to get conquered by the capitalist because eventually you're going to realize that oatmeal is not free at the grocery store and that your children are going to need shoes to walk to school, and that so you're going to have to go work for somebody to get that, right? So I say it's better if you're going to work for somebody. I say it's better to work for yourself than it is to work for your oppressor. Do we agree with that? I hope that that makes sense. I hope that because I tell you what, I don't get tired of it because I'm so used to it, doesn't matter to me. But there's so many people who think that because I'm a finance professor that I somehow align with everything in capitalism. And no, I don't. I'm not trying to be white. I'm trying to make sure we rich. I want to be powerful. I want all of us to be powerful, right? And there's certain things about wealth and power that I understand. One is that the group is usually more powerful than the individual. So I want to empower my group and align myself with a powerful group. And then I become powerful, you're powerful, we're powerful together because in capitalism, teamwork tends to work. So there is a community communist aspect of capitalism. The Chinese understand it better than anybody else on earth. You can't mess with the Chinese because they move as a group. They rock as a unit. They train their children. Has anybody ever seen Chinese kindergartners at school and how they train them to move in lockstep? And they'll be doing some drill where they're dribbling a basketball or something, and all of them will be dribbling the basketball the same way or doing the exact same dance or the same movement and just in sync. That's trained early. When I taught a class in Shanghai, one of my students explained to me that yeah, when you're a child, you're taught that you want to be part of the group. Being loud and separating yourself from the group, cutting people off and all that, like that's frowned upon. You look like a clown. They make fun of you if you stand out. She said, Dr. Watkins, we have saying that the fattest pig always gets slaughtered. So when you look at bombastic personalities, we celebrate that in the United States. We celebrate people that are outrageous and loud and annoy. They in China they don't honor that. They think that that's stupid. They're like, you're not going to survive out there by yourself on an island. Um, what else did she tell me? She said that, and this was it. This was really good, refreshing as a professor. Like when I went over there, she said, yeah, we're trained to listen to the teacher. She said we're told that because I couldn't get my students to talk. I would ask them questions and they would just not answer. They would just sit there. And she said, well, when we grow up, there we're told that when the teacher talks, you sit on your hands and you shut up and you listen to the teacher. So I never had more attentive students than I had when I was in China. And that was easy because it's like, great, now I can really pour into you because you'll shut up and listen. I can tell you, think about this. Think about how often you run into people that don't know nothing but do the most talking. And like John Heinrich Clark had to say, look, I will debate my equals. Everybody else I'm going to teach. I'm not going to debate you if my knowledge of the field is here and your knowledge is down here. But we got a lot of debating idiots. You have people. There's a saying that says it's really hard to win an argument with a smart person, but it's impossible to win an argument with an ignorant person. Because ignorant people are not only are they ignorant, but they don't even know how ignorant they are. So a lot of time, and the truth is though, all of us are ignorant about something, and you tend to do better when you just shut up and listen than you do when you're doing all the talking and always trying to be the smartest person in the room. And there are some people who also just want to be the loudest person in the room, and people like that never really get ahead, in my opinion. That's my 2 cents. All right. So anyway, let's go back to Instagram because I'm getting kind of serious. So let's do something a little more fun here. I have a video where I imagine I said I wonder what slaves in 1802 would say to black people in 2025. So I made this little video. It's on my Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance, and I'm gonna play this. And I just thought you guys might like it. So here we go. Let me play it now.
We knew debt was a weapon. Why do you wear it like jewelry?
You trust banks that never wanted us free more than you trust each other.
If your children inherit nothing, then slavery simply changed uniforms. You celebrate income, but we prayed for assets.
Freedom without land, tools, or capital is just a prettier cage.
They sold our bodies once. Now they rent your time forever. You still begging for wages when ownership was always the real freedom.
We knew.
Okay, let's go let's go this step by step, right? I love the wisdom of the ancestors. This is the fun of AI. Were y'all able to hear that? Let me know. Give me a quick yes if you were able to hear that. Okay, was everybody able to hear that? I'm gonna play it again and just let's quickly talk about the like just one sentence on the point being made by each statement. So we knew debt was a weapon.
Debt was a weapon. Why do you wear it like jewelry?
Okay, so debt is ultimately a weapon that is used by those who have power in the capitalist system to control the behavior of others. Student loan debt is probably the biggest example. You get buried with all this debt. Now you got to go work for a corporation for the rest of your life. And then if you decide to exit and not pay the debt, then they enforce the payment of the debt, kind of mafia stuff, right? They garnish your wages, they ruin your credit score, whatever, maybe take your stuff, right? So ultimately, you're kind of trapped. Your mobility is limited because you're carrying the debt. And the worst thing in the world, the worst kind of debt to have is debt that isn't doing anything for you. It'd be different if you borrowed 200,000 to go to school and it got you a job making $1 million a year or something like that. Then debt becomes a liberator. Debt becomes an accelerator. But what happens is that sometimes some of the debt becomes almost like fat on your body. If you're an athlete, fat on your body doesn't help you. Muscle can help you, but fat doesn't help you. So having more weight, when you think of debt like weight, having more weight is not the issue. It's the question is the weight fat or is it muscle? So a lot of consumer debt is fat debt. A lot of student loan debt is fat. But debt to start a business, well, that can be muscle if it's a good business, right? Debt to make investments in the stock market, right? That can be muscle. So don't think debt in itself is evil. Just like a boxer is not going to say that gaining weight is bad. He's going to say, well, what kind of weight are you talking about? Am I gaining weight from eating Cheetos or did I gain weight from eating protein and lifting weights or whatever, right? So those are two different things, right? So make sure you're clear about that, right? Let's keep going.
You trust banks that never wanted us free more than you trust each other.
Trust is a really important and a very deep word in the world of economics. You know about trust as a pathway, as a tool for economic elevation, right? We know about what a trust can do in terms of protecting assets and transferring generational wealth. But trust matters a lot when it comes to building an economy. When trust fails, when trust falls apart in a family or in a community, business can't be done. Who in the hell does business with people they don't trust? Give me a yes or no. Would you buy from a company where you didn't trust their product? Yes or no? Give me a yes or no. Would you hire somebody that you didn't trust if you ran the business? Yes or no? Would you take on a business partner, do a partnership with somebody, marry somebody that you didn't trust? Yes or no? You can keep going down the list. So when trust is not there, then connection disappears. I can't connect with you if I don't trust you because you might hurt me. So ultimately, this lack of trust in the Black community, which is connected to trauma, being traumatized by other, I'm sorry, I hear, I know that there are things like that we should be concerned about, like, I guess white people hating us and Klansmen showing up and killing us, maybe MAGA supporters coming to beat us up or something. But most of the Black people I know that have really been hurt and killed, usually it's from somebody that looks like them. Or maybe it's like, my father wasn't in the house when I was a little boy or a little girl, and that lack of trust shows itself as they get older in terms of how they deal with each other. I think a lot of I've seen so many examples where even interracial marriage is driven by a lack of trust. Men, becoming what they call them divestors, where they say we're going overseas and we're going to go find a woman somewhere else because we don't trust these Black women. And then men saying, I'm going to go marry a white boy from England because I don't trust black men, right? And so the relationship economy gets destroyed because of that. But that also is very similar to what happens in the general economy. That's why you're quicker to buy from somebody who's not black than you are to buy from another black person, right? You have more scrutiny, right? You're more worried. You're like double checking certain things, right? So here we go. Anyway, let's keep going.
If your children inherit nothing, then slavery simply changed uniforms.
Yeah, so capitalism is slavery. In case you didn't know, you maybe you haven't heard me break it down like that, but capitalism is slavery because slavery is a lack of freedom. When freedom's not in the room, then that is a type of slavery. So slavery meaning, having to do something you don't want to do, tends to happen the most to people that have no assets. So the reason that you want children inheriting assets and the reason you're investing for them when they're babies before they're even born is because a person who has assets can kind of navigate the world a little bit better. They have what I refer to as FU money. FU money just means, if you're disrespected or mistreated on your job, do you have enough wealth and resources to say F you, I'm out? Do you have enough side hustles to say F you? Do you have enough assets to protect you that will give you the ability to be bold, right? I'm not a courageous person in general, more so than anybody in this room. The difference is that when I've had an opportunity to be courageous, it's easier to be courageous when you know financially you're going to be fine, right? So just understand that the decision to make sure the kids are inheriting something makes a big difference in their freedom and their ability to navigate the world. People who have no assets have to sell their bodies and sell their time and sell their energy and sell their attention in order to make money. Let's keep going.
You celebrate income, but we prayed for assets.
Yeah, income is temporary, assets are more permanent. Income gives you the opportunity to have assets. The fact that the savings rate tends to be low and people don't prioritize saving and investing means that they remain poor. Poor stands for passing over opportunities repeatedly. So when you receive the income and the income gives you an opportunity to build wealth, many people pass that opportunity up and therefore they end up um, almost living in a paycheck to paycheck kind of world. You're living moment to moment because no one ever really talked about what it means to plan years down the line, and assets allow you to do that.
Freedom without land, tools, or capital is just a prettier cage.
That's another statement in support of the control of assets. Land and businesses is certainly more valuable than student loans and corporate jobs. And I think integration trained us to think differently about that or to think the way that we do. It's time to shift that. It's time to really get back to the basics. Your ancestors understood these things. Let's keep going.
They sold our bodies once. Now they rent your time forever.
Yeah, so one journey I had was I remember just thinking about how much time we spend at our jobs. I said, isn't it crazy that we spend more time with our boss than we spend with our own children? I don't think that that's healthy. And this is where Marxism actually has it right. Karl Marx had a critique of capitalism. He said, you get people thinking that their whole purpose in life is to go to some factory and hammer a nail all day, and instead of doing the things that are going to fulfill them, things that matter. So it's not a coincidence that the corporate plantation can breed a lot of anxiety and depression because you lose your sense of purpose. You become like a ghost or a zombie. And so ultimately, the ability to find your purpose, this is one of the things money does. The best thing money does and assets do is they give you that they free up your time, which allows you to go find out like, okay, what do I really enjoy? What is my life mission? What should I be doing? Because your destiny does not live at UPS, right? Your life mission is not, at McDonald's or wherever you work. So ultimately, understanding these things is a really important part of using money as a pathway to liberation, enlightenment, fulfillment, and happiness. Not just buying a new Lamborghini. All right. So let's go ahead and finish up. I want to remind everybody, in case y'all don't know, we do a digital version of the All Black National Convention. We call it ABC Digital, and that's going to be at the end of the month. A lot of you are asking about that. That's going to be January 30th, that weekend. So if anybody wants to join us for the digital ABC, we're going to bring in a bunch of guests and have panels and breakouts and networking opportunities. So it's just something that you guys have requested. You guys know the main All Black National Convention happens October 16th in Jersey City, right outside of Manhattan, right next to New York. It's 5 minutes away on the train. And that's going to happen the weekend of October 16th. That's when we actually get together physically. But also, ABC Digital is going to be at the end of January. And I'll put the link in the chat if you want to take a look and just sort of see what happens there. If you haven't done, one of the All Black National Conventions, you don't know what you're missing. It's everything that I dreamed it was going to be, and it's the kind of event that is transformative, and there's love and there's empowerment and there's knowledge and everything else. So anyway, I'll put the link in the comments if you guys want to take a look at ABC Digital. And also Chanel, I'll leave the Zoom open for a second so Chanel can share the link in case you guys want to join us to do stock options on Thursday. So we start Thursday night, and we're going to do that as well. All right, so make sure you're on the text list for this class. If you're not on the text list, you can do that by texting the word morning to the number 87948. So text morning to 87948. And let me see here. Candace says Jersey City is not 5 minutes on the PATH train, maybe Hoboken. Okay, so maybe you know what? Let me check. Let me double check this so I don't tell any lies, Candace. I know it's the Hyatt on the Hudson. And so maybe y'all can look that up. If I'm incorrect, you can correct me. And Chanel, maybe we can look into that. Because I remember them specifically mentioning how close it was to get to the World Trade Center. So I just want to make sure that and we couldn't do Brooklyn. We wanted to do Brooklyn. I spoke too soon. Everything in downtown Brooklyn, since they gentrified it, got super expensive. And so literally the amount that it would have cost us to go to Brooklyn was crazy. So we were like, okay, we gotta be close, kind of close to Brooklyn, but not too close. So yeah, so Jersey City was the place that we had to pick, because unfortunately you got to make the trade-offs, and that's what it is. All right, so anyway, hope you guys are doing well. God bless you. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you all tomorrow morning. We meet every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, and so be there, be square. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you soon. Take care now. Bye bye.